Hi, welcome back to Veterans Update. It's always exciting to see you every month. Tonight, Lisa's not with us. She's at school. We actually have Amanda with us. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you. Usually on mail call, and I love to hear from our veterans.
You know, Amanda, tonight we have an amazing show. We have the honor flight.
I heard about that. Unfortunately, I could not be there. I heard so much about it. Sounds awesome. Why don't you tell me about it?
The honor flight is a trip to Washington, D.C. It's where they take the veterans and a chaperone out to D.C. to see the memorial. They spend, it's an all-day event. They go out, they have lunch, and they go to the memorials. We welcomed them back with an amazing welcome. It was so emotional and heartfelt. Let's check it out, Amanda. Hi, welcome back. We're back with Veterans Update, bringing you the best and the greatest things about veterans. I'm here with Lisa tonight, and we are at the Minnesota International Airport. Behind us is the Minnesota Army National Guard Band, and we're all welcoming back World War II veterans from Washington, D.C. Lisa, isn't that great?
That is amazing. You ready?
Ready.
Take it away, guys.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi, welcome back with Veterans Update. I'm here at the Minneapolis Airport and with Ernie here going to tell us a little bit about the Patriot Guard.
My name is Ernie Johnson. We have about 40 or 50 Patriot Guard here, and we're here to honor the return of the World War II veterans coming back to Minnesota from their trip in Washington, D.C. It's just an especially great time to be here and welcome, and we usually are very quiet on our flag line, but now we're going to hoop and holler because it's truly about them. It's not about us. And that's what we're doing.
Thank you, Ernie. Thank you for taking some couple of minutes here with me. So, thank you. All right, let's see them. She found her husband. Can you tell me, sir, how did you enjoy Washington?
It was overpowering.
What was your favorite part?
Hard to say, but I would say the most impressive was Iwo Jima.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad you got to go in that. Thank you for your service, sir.
He worked hard to go because he had hip surgery in August.
Wow, and
he made it.
Hip replacement surgery, and he was able to go. That is incredible. So I'm very happy that you got to go. Thank you.
Conrad Nelson, we're Teresa and Lisa with Veterans Update. Welcome home. How was your trip?
Wonderful trip. Absolutely a great day. The weather was good, the memorials were beautiful, and there were a couple of them brought tears to your eyes.
And who is this lovely lady on next to you?
His girlfriend.
My lovely bride. My bride.
For 57.
Yeah.
You have a picture. You have somebody in your hand. Who's in your hand? Can you? That's what he looked like when he joined. That's amazing. What was your favorite thing in Washington?
There were so many wonderful things down there, but the thing that really struck me was going through the Korean Memorial. There was a sculpture there of nurses.
Thank you for your service.
What those girls did was just unreal. Yep.
Thank you.
I'm Bertie Grass. Well, Burdell is my name.
And what branch of the service?
U.S. Navy, WR, Women's Reserve.
Thank you for your service. Did you enjoy Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, I worked there actually during the war, but it was wonderful. I hadn't seen the newer,
Thank you for your service.
What is your name, sir?
Doug Gibson.
Doug, how did you like Washington, D.C.?
Beautiful. We had a ball.
What was your favorite part of the whole time?
World War II Memorial.
I've been there. I've seen it. It is incredible.
Beautiful.
Were you moved to tears? A few other people have been.
Well, yeah, you got to come out.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know I have been. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad you got to go.
I like the Vietnam Memorial too.
That was really good.
Great, yeah.
So thank you so much.
My name's Teresa, and what was your name?
Bill Thal,
Bill, what branch of the service?
Army.
What did you do in the Army?
I was a medic
Wonderful. So where did you serve?
from Newfoundland to New Guinea.
That's amazing. What did you think of Washington, D.C.?
I really was struck. It was more than I ever thought it would be. Lincoln.
What was your favorite memory of the memorials?
Lincoln. Yeah, his size fit him. He was a great, great man, and his enormous size struck me.
Well, thank you very much for your service and welcome home.
I'm here with Dwayne. Dwayne, please tell me about your experience in D.C. today.
Well, I started out at the boot camp at Great Lakes and ended up on Guam for a couple of years.
That's great. How was it for you today while you were in D.C.?
Oh, this was a wonderful thing. So while planning to carry it out, it was just excellent.
I'm very glad that you got to go. Do you have any other things that you want to say to the veterans out there?
Well, thanks to all the people who organized this. And Jerry did a wonderful job. It was just great. I've been waiting 5 years for this, so I'm very happy.
I'm really glad. Thank you so much.
What's your name?
Harold Johnson.
Harold Johnson.
That's a good Norwegian name, you know.
Harold, welcome back. What branch of the military were you in?
I was in the Army.
That's my branch. Good.
The 9th Army.
Wonderful. What did you do in the Army?
Combat engineer. I blew up bridges and built them. That's what I did.
That's wonderful. So what did you think of Washington, D.C.?
You know, we were there years ago, my wife and I, and we come back there, and boy, has it changed. And all the monuments, oh, they got some beautiful and I got a chance to meet my great-granddaughter down there.
You did. That is wonderful.
She was sitting there in the little, how old is
Balin? She's 3.
This is my granddaughter, and this is, I don't know, it might be my grandson.
Who are you with?
I am my Lowell Johnson and Barb Johnson's daughter.
I'm just the friend.
That's wonderful.
Just a friend.
That's okay. We never have enough friends. What's your memory from when you served? Can you tell us about it? When you were in the service, what's your fondest memory?
That I want to forget.
Absolutely.
Our outfit helped free a Jewish concentration camp. And we had trucks to take them from that camp and put them in a camp that had been built for them to stay in a nice place. I had 12 when I started out. When I ended up to unload them, there were only 10. That's how close they were to death. So these are things that, it's rough to take. Yeah, but we had, I did most of it. I got into the last part of World War II anyway, and I was married and I had 3 kids.
Well, that's good.
This gal over here, when I come home, she was mad at me. She was in a crib.
And who is this? This is your daughter?
Yeah, that's your daughter right there.
Come on up here. And is this Barb? I'm Jean.
Barb is her mother.
And Jean, we're here welcoming back
my dad. I was 6 months old before I got to see him.
Well,
this is my brother.
Lowell Johnson. My father also fought, and we thank them both for our service.
I have to tell you, thank you very much for your service, and thank you for what you've done for this country.
Well, thank you for this little trip that we had over. You know, I learned a lot.
What did you learn?
Oh, a lot of things. I mean, I saw all these memorials that are put up in there, and they're really.
Yeah, in your honor, you know.
Well, yes, but there are people that, well, they didn't make it back here. They didn't have the pleasure of being, you know, part of this gala affair, I guess you would call it.
But they're here in our hearts and in our memories. They're never forgotten. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And for your Norwegian name, as you told me, a good Norwegian name.
See, it's spelled S-E-N.
It's spelled S-E-N. Thank you. You're Wayne McFarland.
Warren.
Warren McFarland. See, I mess everything up. Warren, you went with Harold.
Yes, I did.
And what was it like going on a trip with Harold?
Busy. I got to push him around all day in a wheelchair.
And
no, it was great. It was wonderful. We had, it was funny, the weather out there initially was hot and muggy. Then it looked like it was going to rain. Then it cleared up and got cool. So it was beautiful. We saw so many things. It's going to take a while to digest everything that we saw. No kidding. It's just, I've never been to D.C. before myself. So by being there the first time, it was as much, I think, a thrill for me as it was for him.
Well, thank you for doing that, and thank you for going with Harold.
There's all kinds of fuss about me, but there's all kinds of soldiers here. There's fellas that's, you know.
You know what, Harold? Every soldier needs to have a fuss made about him, including you. Thank you.
It's been great. Thank you.
We really had some tearjerker moments there, didn't we, Teresa?
Absolutely. This was an amazing honor.
It really was, and such a great opportunity for all of these World War II veterans. I can't believe I've never heard of this before. So I think we're going to sign off before both of us start crying here. She's already, got 1 foot ahead of me. So thank you for joining us at Veterans Update. We'll see you again soon. Bye.
Welcome back. That was amazing.
Oh, it was.
And now, let's hear it from Tom Newman with 306090.
Hello, welcome back to Veterans Updates and your 30-60 90-day segment highlighting veterans benefits, programs, and services. I'm Tom Newman, DSO for the American Legion, state of Minnesota. Following up on the last couple episodes that we had shared, I stayed pretty broad. On this segment, I'm going to key in just a little bit more on the veterans healthcare system, but specifically the enrollment process and why our veterans health benefits are so important to our veterans. But before I do that, I want to create a little bit of clarification and insight in terms of the veterans healthcare system, because I get a lot of questions from veterans on occasion that get frustrated. They've honorably served in the military, and they've come back and they've gotten to a point in their life where they've heard about this wonderful benefit that exists and all the great things that are available in programming through the Veterans Health Administration. But when they go and enroll, they find out they're not eligible, and they experience other issues that prevent them from being able to access earned health benefits. The one thing that I want to clarify, I've got a little bit of an illustration here, if I could. I've got here in this vessel what I'd like to represent as the 25 million veterans that we've got in our country. 25 million veterans currently in our country. And the truth is that not all 25 million veterans have access into the VA healthcare system. Over the last couple years, the numbers that are shared is that currently there are 8 million veterans currently enrolled into the VA healthcare system. So the VA healthcare system, as far as capacity, isn't nearly going to be able to satisfy the 25 million veterans. The capacity is going to be somewhat smaller. Approximately a third of our veterans using VA numbers are basically currently enrolled. So if I could, of the 25 million veterans, I'm going to illustrate that that's taken place. We've got our 8 million veterans. This is the happy group. This is the group where in a lot of cases our veterans are getting the care that they've earned and enjoying the benefit of the integrated VA healthcare system that we have here in our country. What is a problem is that we've got a good majority of our veterans, 2/3 in fact, that aren't enrolled or for various reasons. And these are the ones that typically they get frustrated. You know, like I said, in many cases they've served honorably and they can't necessarily figure out why it is that they're not one of the veterans over here, part of that 8 million able to receive care and services. So I'd like to try to kind of provide some insight to kind of explain the enrollment process and the criteria that the Veterans Health Administration uses when they process an application for enrollment and ultimately make a decision, or rather a determination as to a veteran's eligibility for health benefits. If I could, and I'm from Minnesota, I'm going to use Minnesota as just an example. And I'm going to draw out, it's a fairly crude map here, but is going to represent the state of Minnesota. Now, in Minnesota, we've got 4 VA medical centers, basically. These are the large VA medical centers that we have here in Minnesota that provide services to our Minnesota veterans. We've got one in Minneapolis. We've got one in central Minnesota. We also have a good portion of our veterans here in Minnesota that also access care through the Sioux Falls VA Medical Center. And then way up north on the North Dakota border with Minnesota is the Fargo VA Medical Center. Now, these centers do a great job. They've got huge capacity in terms of the number of veterans that are enrolled and receive care through these larger VA medical centers. But as you can imagine, if you're one of these veterans that live in a more remote area of the state or what would be considered a rural area, it's not always practical that those veterans are going to be able to, even if they got enrolled and were found eligible, are realistically going to be able to access their own benefits because of the travel, because of the distance. What's happened over the last 2 years is there's been a lot of additional funding and a steering of funds to basically create what they call these community-based outpatient clinics. Now these clinics are much smaller than a traditional VA medical center, but each of the medical centers may have up to a half a dozen community-based outpatient clinics that they manage, but they're in more remote areas or in areas that have a population to sustain them, but it's an alternative, an additional kind of an arm of the VA medical system to basically get into areas that are going to, more likely than not, allow veterans a more realistic possibility to be able to get their care through the VA. And like I said, each of the medical centers have them. By the time you add them all up, you know, there's actually quite a few. This increases the likelihood that a veteran is going to be able to use their earned VA health benefits. So in looking at, you know, the total number of veterans, as I said, 25 million with an M. 25 million veterans, which is not a small number. 25 million, unfortunately, the budget gets passed, and I should mention that the budget for health care and health benefits is not mandatory spending through Congress. It's actually discretionary. So Congress, you know, sets the budget, but you know, they follow trends based on what's happening within our veterans population and the demographics. But as you can see, capacity is the problem. The fact is that we can't because the budget just doesn't exist. The budget that it would take to create and expand a system to enroll and accept all 25 million, you can see the capacity just isn't there. And it's not that the budget hasn't increased. Actually, if you look at the budget that Congress has set over the last 10 and even 20 years, the budget actually has steadily increased. But despite that, capacity can't take care of the 25 million. And the trend lately has been the 8 million, recent numbers, 8 million veterans enrolled. So the question comes up oftentimes with veterans is, you know, if you had to choose, obviously you're going to choose to be a part of that 8 million. You'd like to get, that's the goal, is to get enrolled into the VA healthcare system. But as you can imagine, the capacity just isn't there. So within rules, within the regulations basically that dictate veterans healthcare and veterans health enrollment and eligibility, that's why there are rules. There are rules basically in place to try to basically identify within the total veteran population, the 25 million, there's a set of rules or guidelines to try to identify those veterans that, rate the highest or a higher priority for care. So there are these categories of veterans. One category, and it's really important to keep in mind, are veterans that are service-connected, SC. Service-connected veterans. So of the 25 million, which of these veterans currently are service-connected, meaning they've got a current health issue. They've got a health issue incurred or had developed or resulted while they were active duty. Well, they're service-connected. Once they establish being service-connected, that's going to really open things up in terms of them being part of that 8 million enrolled into the VA healthcare system. The second one is a big one, low-income veterans. Low-income veterans, basically, if they had served honorably during a wartime period and they are below these financial thresholds, basically, they show and they demonstrate, which the VA does verify, what their income levels are. And if their income is low enough, basically, it would imply that it's not likely they're going to be able to afford the cost in the traditional marketplace for medical care. So therefore, low-income veterans are another significant group of veterans of the 25 million that also get, in following enrollment rules, basically have access into the VA healthcare system. The third one, and we're a country that's been at war for nearly a decade now, over a decade, is recent returnees. So recently deployed service members that are coming back. Iraq's concluded, of course, but Afghanistan and Operation New Dawn. There's a rule in place where a service member that serves, recently deployed, they've got guaranteed 5 years of access into the VA healthcare system. The fourth one is what I would call other. Sometimes there are circumstances, increased capacity, there are additional inlets into the VA healthcare system as it relates to those that experience military sexual trauma, homeless veterans. There are some caveats in which veterans can establish eligibility through these special programs that would get them enrolled. In having these rules, basically what it's done is it's created a priority, and so there's factors involved in terms of being a part of the 25 million veterans, but establishing your eligibility through a list of criteria or rules, basically, that are looked at when you fill out an enrollment form and submit it. But I just wanted to give you kind of a general overview and illustrate this before I get into the more fine details to the VA healthcare system and the enrollment process. And so I really would like to thank you for just taking a look at this. One of the benefits, specific benefits to the veterans health care is that it's not a one-time deal. You don't apply for it, they deny you, and it's game over. That's not the way it works because people's circumstances change. So if you've applied before and your circumstances have dramatically changed, your health circumstances have dramatically changed, those are typically good periods or good moments basically to reevaluate, well, maybe it's something that I should come back to and look at again because maybe my circumstances have put me in a position now where I would be eligible for VA health benefits, whereas when I applied a year or so ago, I was denied or put into one of the priority groups that doesn't allow my enrollment. Maybe now I should reapproach that. Because like I said, anytime a set of circumstances changes, it may likely affect your enrollment eligibility, and it may be something that you want to reapproach again. So if you've done it yourself and you're comfortable, the process is set up for veterans to do that fairly efficiently. But it's always a good idea as well to make the effort to reach out and to identify your nearest accredited service officer, either a county, state. I know sometimes in the federal medical centers, as well as through the VBA, there are additional resources and points of contact that can get you directed most efficiently to the representative that would best be able to provide assistance to you as you start this process. Thank you for joining me. I'm looking forward to our next segment, where I will be explaining in much more detail the enrollment process and some additional factors to be aware of as it relates to Veterans Health Administration and VA health benefits. Thank you.
Hi, welcome back. Tom always provides great information.
He does. And unfortunately, due to time constraints, we are unable to show you the full version of the Honor Flight this show. But you can go to our Facebook and YouTube and check us out and check out the full version. If you have any questions, please email us. We love to hear from you.